family, it's your girl, Carter Sade, and you are now tuned into Carter's Table Talks. Hey guys, and welcome to episode 3 of Carter's Table Talks. Today I get to share my lovely best friend with you, the lovely Miss Tenisha Sade Jones. And she's absolutely amazing, and today we're going to discuss all things friendship, and I can truly say that this woman has challenged me to be a better person and ultimately a better friend, and you guys know how big I am on friendship. Shout out to Haven Friends. So go ahead, let's just jump into this episode right now. See you later. All right, so hello lovely, and welcome to Carter Table Talks. How are you today?
I'm well. How are you? Happy Easter.
Happy Easter! So I'm really excited about this episode because you are my best friend, and I always tell people that I have one of the best friends that anybody can ever imagine. And I think that you could give people their flowers while they're here. And so this is just another way for me to give you your flowers, to share you with the world, because I can be a little selfish when it comes to you. Not gonna lie, we can get into that, but I can be a little selfish when it comes to you. So I just want to just give you your flowers while also just letting people in on our conversations and letting them know what it is to be a good friend and what that looks like to us and how we can model a healthy, positive relationship to other people.
So, of course.
Yes, I thank you. I thank you again for being here today. So what about your friends?
Hey.
All right, so
let's together, right?
Right. So let's just, hop into this, and we can, who knows where it's going to go, because I feel like our conversations go everywhere, but let's just jump into with this question. What do you think, we can start doing elements, what do you think makes a good friend? What are some qualities?
So, of course, it varies from relationship to relationship, but I think some foundational things of being a good friend, of course, is, number one, being understanding, being caring. And when I say caring, I think, that embodies a lot of different characteristics, because caring can look very different, right? And so, and it varies from friendship to friendship, depending on what that friend needs at that specific time. And so as you get to know your friends, you get to know what it is that they like, what they don't like, what kind of check-ins they need, what kind of support.
The level of maintenance
they really need. Right. Because you have some of those friends that you talk to every single day. Right. And then you have some of those that you talk to maybe once a month, maybe once a year, but that doesn't make them any less of your friend, right? Right. And so I think when developing those relationships is really one of those things that God makes no mistakes, and everything is really made perfect in his time. So some people come and they leave in and out of your life at specific times, but they always show up right when you
speaking of people leaving in and out, then maybe we should go backwards and we should let them know our friendship story, because people don't know and we haven't told them. So I met Tenisha, guys, when I was going to say a toddler, but when I was a little girl. We grew up around the corner from one another in Benton Harbor, Michigan, and we were friends all the way up until what? College or high school? I think high school we kind of fell off.
Yeah.
We were friends all the way up until high school, and then Tenisha decided she wasn't going to be my friend anymore.
Well, no, I didn't decide I wasn't going to be your friend. I think it was one of those things where, a lot of times when we feel like we have to be loyal to our friends.
Talk about loyalty.
Right, because friendship is about loyalty, right? And so when we feel like we have to be loyal to one friend in a whole friend group, sometimes it creates total chaos.
So do you think that making friends and being loyal is easier when you're younger and harder when you're older, or is it the reverse?
I don't think it knows any time or any age, right? Because this same thing happened to me even when I got into college, right? So I didn't learn from my mistake the first time of when I have this entire group of friends, right? And then when something happens with one of my friends and I feel like, oh, this is my best friend at the moment.
You naturally
my loyalty.
one person out the group. Like,
right. And so my loyalty is like, oh dang, I have to side with my best friend. And instead of being like the peacemaker in those situations, which I knew that I was, I didn't do that. I didn't take that channel. I was just like, you know what? I'm siding with my best friend. And that's kind of what it is. And so now as I've matured, I know that like you are there to be the peacemaker. You aren't there to be the person that's like, oh, okay, I'm just going to side with my best friend. And in those situations, like the overused quote that, in those instances, loyalty is slavery, right? Because you're
because my
really
feelings was hurt but I got it because even though we had met and we were friends, we were younger. You were friends with her longer than you were friends with me. And so it was like, okay, I get it. Like they're super, super tight. Their mothers are tight, da da da. You wanted to be their friend, that was fine. But then on the other side, I was just like in my feelings because we was friends too. Like we would go walk in and hang out. Like we was friends too. So.
Yeah, and so I think that's definitely like a lesson in friendship too, to not take sides and to be the mediator, to be the peacemaker, and to actually, you don't have to lose a friend, because even in college, I think I lost probably about 6 friends siding with my one friend, and I wanted to be friends with them, but I was like, you know what? No, that's my best friend, so I'm going to be close with my best friend.
But then it becomes super awkward. So when did you get to the point where you actually realized that you can be friends with other people, and then also like your friends don't have to be friends with your friends, if that makes sense?
And see, it's still like a thin line, right? It's still a rock and a hard place, because depending on the intensity of their fallout or what it is, because, at the same time, it's certain conversations and it's certain lines that shouldn't be drawn, right? And so you actually have to be that person that, because sometimes people will be like, oh, well, what is such and such doing? Or how is this? And kind of ease you into like this gossiping spirit or anything that you're just kind of like,
it's so easy that, especially if you have natural conversations with people, and like you don't take it like they got bad intentions. They just be asking because they know that's your friend. But then you gotta think, like put your head on, like, okay, would this friend be comfortable with me saying this to this friend? And so I think that's when it gets confusing.
Yeah, I mean, and you don't want to feel like, you're betraying either of the friends. So, I think it's one of those things of, it's okay for you to not be friends with somebody, right? And it's okay for them to not be friends and for your friends not to be, but you have to really draw those lines and draw those boundaries. Like, it is not okay for you to talk about my friend. You cannot ask me any questions about my friend and expect me to answer any of those things, because even when these conversations do happen, what do? Do you go and tell this friend that this is what
I think we've had that in our friendship too, and it just becomes messy. And like I said, even if you don't have bad intentions, you just kind of be like, I shouldn't have said nothing. Like, I shouldn't have said nothing, because now it looks like I'm being messy or she's a hater, and like it's just too much. So I'd rather just be like, don't talk to me. Like I had somebody call me. I think you know the story. I had somebody call me, and it was drama behind something I supposedly had said, and I was just like, you know what? At this point, don't tell me anything about your situation. Don't tell me nothing about that friendship, because that's just not my life. Like I don't have bad intention, and if you shared it, you willingly shared it. Like I didn't go looking for the information, and I'm not trying to gossip. So it's like, just keep it.
Yeah. So I mean, after what, it was probably about 3 years that we did not speak.
Are you gonna tell the people?
Yeah, I'm just telling the rest of the story. It was about 3 years that we didn't speak. And one day I think both of us were just kind of like, okay, I'm over this. This is childish, and let's be friends again. And since then we've been back inseparable like we were as children. And it was kind of like nothing changed. But I think
that part, I think that's a big thing, because I think some friendships are just divine, like divine connections and aligned by God. So I don't think if we would have went like 3 years or we would have went 6 years, I think when we picked up the phone and decided that we were going to be friends again, like it was just going to be like press play, like we just pause and we back.
Yeah. And so definitely like lesson learned, and really appreciative of everything that has come from our friendship. Even being in DC, this transition wouldn't have been as easy without you. So it's been a pleasurable experience being friends with you.
So, well, thank you. Thank you. But what about like forgiveness? Like, so let's walk through that because, like, in the 3 years of us not talking to each other, I guess, there clearly had to be like, I don't know if it was like animosity or attention because I don't think I thought about it in that way. I think if I thought about it, it was more so like, dang, we aren't friends. But it wasn't like anger or like anything like that. But then I think there is a process where like you probably had to forgive me in a way to even want to reach out, and I had to do the same. But like, what does that really look like? Because I think sometimes people think friends can't get into arguments, but I think those are real friendships. That friends can't disagree or be at odds, and if you do, then in that case, then y'all aren't friends. But I think in our situation, it just looked really different.
Yeah, it did, because it wasn't a direct thing that was done to me, right? Mm-hmm. So in many ways, it could feel like betrayal. It could feel like sadness. It could feel like anger, And I felt like any way that you felt, you had the right to do it, right? Because I just was like, okay, I'm done talking to her one day. Like that.
You just let go, y'all. Tenisha savage.
Yeah. And so, and that's one of the things that I've been working on, right? Because I'm one of those people that like, I love and I give so much that if I feel hurt, if I feel betrayed, I leave you alone. Like, that's just it. I don't want to have a conversation about it because I don't feel like I've done anything. And we know that sometimes you don't always get what you deserve, but I feel like in a lot of cases, and the fact that I take my friendship so seriously, that these people are my family and that, this shouldn't be done to me.
I haven't learned anything from our relationship. I think actually it draws me back to the story. I think that I learned how to be a better friend through you, and I learned that there was really levels through friendship. And I think one of the moments that sticks out to me is in Miami. Remember when you made me cry on the boat? And like I think that moment, just to tell the story, it's like you called me selfish, and nobody had ever called me selfish. And then I just felt extremely bad because I was like, well, she does all of these things to help support me, which is another element of friendship. Like, she does all these things to help support me. Like, you do it without rebuttal, without complaint. And I think in that moment, I didn't want to do something that you really wanted to do. And you were like, you are so selfish. And I remember just like, I'll cry, remember, because I was really sad that you felt that way. But I think it was because you felt that way. Anybody else could have felt that way, and I would have been like, whatever. But it's because you're so selfless that I was like, oh my God, if she really feels this way, then this is like a thing. Like, I must be selfish.
I'm like, wait, we're in Miami, we're on a boat, we're on a yacht, and she's crying. And so I felt bad, like, oh my God, like, why is she crying? One of those things that I'm like, but I think for me, like, one of those things that I constantly think about is like, I don't ever want to put myself in a situation where I'm the smartest, most resourceful, the wisest person in my group. And so when I think about the friends are the people that I want to attract in my life and what it is, I want to be around people that I admire, people that have characteristics that I am drawn to, people who are free-spirited, and it feels light, that it doesn't feel like a burden to be a friend. Because sometimes you can feel like, oh, it's a burden to be this person's friend because they're constantly taking, and they're not necessarily giving. And so when I think about these people that I've surrounded myself around or who I want to be friends with, I'm like, you know what? I really love these women. These are women that I see my children calling aunt and, all of these different things that I don't want anybody in my life that doesn't inspire me in some type of way.
So that like transitions me. So like, what are like for you or in general, what are red flags in friendship?
So for me, and I've learned a lot, and this is one story that I've always, so MLK once said, it wouldn't be the words of your enemies, but the silence of your friends that will always hurt you. And when I think about me being a good friend, I know one thing that my friends are like, she's going to always tell you what how she feels.
Whether you like it or agree with it.
Whether you like it or not, right? And some of the things affect me and some of them do not affect me. But anytime my friends are hurting or I see them down spiraling, I feel inclined to say something about it. But one of those things that I learned is sometimes it's not necessarily what you say, but how you say it, right? Because I lost one of my best friends because of something I said, right? One time I told my friend, you know, like, yeah, and I told my best friend, I said, you know what? I wouldn't talk to him because I would think he was spitting sperm when he looked at me, because I felt like, you know what? He got a lot of kids. What you gonna do with him? You don't have any kids.
So it wasn't how you said it in that case, it was actually what you said.
No, I think it was how I said spitting sperm is inappropriate, right? You know, he's spitting sperm because he got all of these kids. You know, that was inappropriate. Instead of me really saying like, you know what, he has amount of kids. You are a single woman without any kids. I don't know if that's the best decision. And you know, we cannot control the decisions of our friends, our families, or anybody, but you can plant seeds. And sometimes those seeds may not flourish until a lot later. But I don't ever want to come off as the judgmental friend, right? Because in that case, I was not judging her.
Judgmental friend, would that be a red flag in a friendship?
I think so. Because judgment, who are we to judge? We cannot judge. All of us have flaws. All of us fall short. And everybody have a preference on what type of friend it is that they like, right? Or the type of people that they want to be on. And so if you've already felt this way, or you already feel a burden about something that you're going through, it is not your friend's job to judge you, right? And judging looks more differently than, you know, having a simple conversation, because, you know, even sometimes when I call you or you call me and you're talking about something, I ask you, do you want my opinion or do you want me to listen? Because those are two different things, right? And sometimes you don't always want my opinion. Sometimes we just really want.
And then when you give me your opinion, I'm like, I didn't ask that. I don't want that.
Yeah, and you say that. And I respect that when you're like, you know what, I didn't ask you for that, right? And so that's when I'm able to take a step back. And I think that's knowing who your friends are and kind of already knowing what they'll say before you even call them, right? Because I can.
At the same time, there's still the evolution of friendship or the evolution of a person in general. And I think that there's a thin line between like judgment and whatever the other is. Because I think that I don't necessarily think it's judgmental if you, like you said, you see your friend downward spiraling and you want to speak up and say something. But I do think it's judgmental if you just like, you know, you were gossiping about that person and you just like, oh, she just and just cut them off. Like, you know, I think that's being judgmental. But at the same time, it's like in friendship, you're supposed to, like you said, we had a previous conversation, you know, accept the person for who they are, you know, flaws and all, who they truly are, who they are at their core, their genuine self. But what if that person looks so much different from the person that you met on day one? Because on one hand, it's like, okay, you're supposed to evolve. But on the other hand, I feel like you evolving in another way, and I just don't know if our friendships align. Like,
but that's not for you though, right? Because somebody can only meet you where they've met themselves. So if they have not come to terms with who they are and what it is that they're going through, they cannot take you judging them. Are you saying something that feels, you know, like you're hanging them on a cross, right? Because it's just one of those things where I'm already feeling pain. And then it's like, as this friend, you are enabling more pain. And so it's also, you know, the flip side of that. Like, do you sit there and actually watch your friends suffer? Because that's the thing that I was talking about with MLK. Like, it's the silence of your friends that are going to hurt you. When your friends do not respond, when your friends see something happen and they're not saying anything, right? You know, and they're not saying anything. And not that we have the power or the autonomy to take over their lives, but at the same time, we're supposed to pour into them and make sure, you know, that they understand.
But when you do that and your friends start running away, it almost makes you feel like, okay, well, I know I did the right thing. I forget the Bible verse that keeps coming to mind, but it's about like you sharing what you know, or you gonna be them because you didn't. And so I feel like it's my duty as a friend to, like you said, to let you know that I feel like I'm concerned. Or, you know, I have, you know, I feel like.
How do you say that though, right? And I think that's
how do you say that without the person like running away and feeling like they just gonna disbar you and not talk to you because you just not understanding them right now?
And I think, you know, it's a certain type of grace or a certain type of relationship that you have to have, because I have certain friends that I can give it to them raw, no chaser, and they're not going to feel any type of way about what I just said. And are they going to take it and they're going to implement it or they're not. And I'm not going to feel any type of way about whether or not you implement it, but I know I can walk away with a clean heart, that I don't have to feel heavy because I sat there and watched that happen to you. I knew it was happening, and I didn't do or say anything that I knew was in my power to do. And so I think that's the thing, when you think about your own conscience and how it is that you feel about yourself, that you can know that you gave something your all, and it's easier to walk away knowing that you gave it your all.
Yeah, I guess you're right, because I think for me, is even with you knowing me, I'd rather just not address it. Like I rather, yeah, I would rather you just not talk to me, and I'm still gonna text you like, hey, what you doing? Like you just blatantly were ignoring me, because you can't ignore me for forever. But I'm not just gonna just pop up and be like, let's just talk about this issue. Like I think with you, I do that more so. But like with my other friends, I'm pretty much like non-confrontational. Like I don't like stuff like that. So when you're ready to talk to me, I'll be over here, welcome you with open arms. But I don't like that. I just don't like it.
But you know, I'm black and white. I don't have a gray area. I cannot function in gray. And so with that being said, I'm like, okay, what is this? It either is or it isn't type of thing. And then whenever you feel like you're ready to talk about it, I'm going to say whatever it is I need to say so that I can feel okay about myself. But whenever you're ready to talk about it, I still support you. I still love you. And whatever it is that you need at that moment, you know that you can always come back to me. I have friends that I talk to maybe once a year. And some of those are my very best friends. And those people will still be in my wedding. Like, I don't feel any type of way.
Like you have like friends, like things like that. I know, like I have friends that, like you said, I can talk to once a month or once every 6 months, and nothing has changed. But then I also have friends, because I don't know if they don't know that I'm that way, but because I don't talk to them as often, then it's different. So to them, it's like, oh, she's not my friend anymore. And I just feel like I am your friend. I'm just busy. And then it still makes me feel bad, because when does busy become an excuse to check in with your friend? You can't always be busy. Like I have some friends that I know I don't feel like I did right by them, and I should have done better in terms of like checking in, because they did reach out, they did want to check in, they did want to have conversation, and every time they will call or text me, I will be doing something in the moment. I'd be like, oh, I'm gonna call you back, I'm gonna text you back, and I never did. Like, but then I'll get on social media and I'll talk to them, because y'all know me, I'm always on social media. So if you slide in my DM on social media, I'm more in tune with it, so I might respond to you in that moment versus if you text me. If you text me, I might respond 2 days later, which is crazy,
but you know what? I think this quarantine is a perfect time for you to do that. For you to really,
I got my list.
Yeah, write your list, write it down, and you know, really reach out to all of those people and have genuine conversations with them, and you know, let them know that it is no love lost. Like I found myself reaching out to some of my college friends like, hey, I love you, and that's just kind of, and let the conversation just go from there, because it is one of those things where, you know, time just happens, everybody, and especially at this age that we're in, you know, people are having babies, everybody is getting married, you know, all of these wonderful things are happening, and it's like we're losing the essence of even having those connections, especially with social media, because social media makes you think that you know what's going on in these people's lives, and you really do not know. Yeah, like you don't know what's going on. Oh, they uploaded a picture, they looked nice, you know, da 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 da.
But she had a great weekend, and you don't even know like everything that unfolded that weekend for her.
Yeah, so I think, and also when you think about friendship, you know, modeling what kind of friend it is, like just how, you know, in relationships, people say like, oh, you know what? I have to teach him how to love me, or, you know, whatever it is. Like you have to also teach your friends how to love you. And in certain instances, we don't necessarily always know what our friends need at that time.
Gotta teach them how to show up, because that kind of brings me to like grief. Like even with you dealing with the passing of your father, and then another of our friends dealing with the passing of their father, I'm not, like I said, I'm not that person who's just like, oh my God, like I don't know what to do in the moment. Like I'm probably the most awkward person in the moment, but I know that certain friendships require certain things of me, so I have to like give myself more, even though it's uncomfortable for me. I know my friend's love language, in a sense. Like I know that my friend wants me to check on them. My friend wants a hug. My friend wants me to be present, versus my friend over here who might want me just to stand back and get them some time until they decide that they're ready to talk to me about it. But in those moments, you have to realize that you can't be selfish and put how you would like want to interact in that moment, and take that to be what it is. Because I had to learn the hard way that that's not what it was. Like I had a friend who was like really mad at me because she lost somebody close to her and she kind of felt like I wasn't there. And to me, I felt like I was there. Like I texted you, but to her it was like pick up the phone and call me. Like, you know, I'm dealing with this, like pop up on me, like pull up. And you didn't do any of that, but you text me. So I didn't text you back because I don't feel like you were being genuine because that's not what I needed from you. And so I had to really think about that, like, Dad, Crystal, that is selfish of you because you just handled the situation that like a way in which made you comfortable, but that's not what they needed. And so I think it does go back to you saying like knowing your friends, knowing how, teaching people how to treat you, and then like seeing where things unfold from there. Because if I show you something and I tell you what I need and then you just continue to disregard that, then it makes me question whether or not you are my friend.
Yeah, are you paying attention? Because even in those moments of even grief, like, you know, that may even be a friend that wanted flowers. And, you know, because gifts is their love language or whatever, you know, and everybody is so different. And as we all are changing and evolving, what that looks like at the moment may be different than what it looked like 10 years ago.
Right.
And so I think, you know, really having open and effective communication is really like the key to any relationship in general, and especially with women, you know, and we sometimes feel like, oh, they should have known and da 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 da. Or we've been friends for
Yep.
the amount of years. Like, why doesn't she know this about me? And I think, you know, me, I'm already a really private person.
Mm-hmm.
And so even with my friends, when I'm ready to probably even talk about something, my friends already know I didn't thought about it. I figured it out and I'm moving forward. I'm just letting you know this is what I'm about to do. Right? And so when my friends know, when I call them and I'm telling them something, I'm just calling you to keep you updated, right? Y'all already know that I know.
I think it's still different because like we talked about being different with every friend. Like, so with you, I might call you for a situation. I might talk through it. With somebody else, I might just be like, oh, I already made up my mind. Like, but in another situation, to that person, I might want to talk through it. And then with you, I'd be like, oh, I already made up my mind. Like,
yeah, and that's what I'm saying. It really varies. And that's not to say that the relationship is any different because all of my friends, I feel like all of my friends is my best friend. So like if I'm talking,
I'm glad you said that because I feel like you can have more than one best friend.
like you can have more than one best friend. Like,
I have to explain that to people. I'd be like, oh no, like one of my childhood best friends. And they'd be like, how many do you got? And I'd be like, probably like 3 or 4. Like,
yeah, that's just kind of what it is. And so, you know, and when you think about those different supports or how you feel about those relationships, sometimes depending on the comfortability level or whatever is going on, because it used to bother me for a long time that I had this one friend that everybody would know what was going on with her. And I would always be the last friend to know what was going on, you know, and I'm like, why she don't call me and tell me, you know, what's going on? But when it's something like so big and major, I'm the first person to know. And so I felt like it was an insult for a while, but it was just one of those understandings that I had to come to is that, you know what, that level of comfortability that she has with our other friends and talking about these very simplistic ideas or, you know, something that may feel minor to her, but when she feels like it's something big or that I should know, she calls me. And so I'm just like, you know what? I can't feel any type of way about that because I'm the same person, right? It's certain friends that I talk to every single day. And so I'm going to call, right? Me and you talk every day. So you're going to know some more of the day-to-day operations that happen in my life or that, you know what, they got on my nerves at work today. Like you're going to know something more simple like that. But I have other friends that are really like, you know what, this is my first time talking to her this month. And I have one friend, one of my other best friends, we have a calendar invite on my phone that we talk every other week at 8:00 on Mondays because we were not having this communication. You know, we weren't talking how we wanted to talk to each other.
I kind of like that idea though. So maybe I should send some calendar invites for some like check-ins or we just.
I mean, honestly, and for us, you know, that was one of those things. She's in school. She's in business school. You know, she's trying to figure all of these things out. She's running her own business. And so, you know, we did not get to talk. Like, I'll send her a text like, hey, I miss you. I love you. She may not respond until tomorrow. No love lost, you
Right.
know. And so when we talk to each other, that's what we said. For me, for this to work, because I miss talking to you. I love you so much, you know, and I want to know more. I want to know what's going on. We start scheduling phone calls. And then we have to run our life
That's
like
like taking the first step and keeping the maintenance of the friendship.
yeah.
Value
Like
that person in that friendship, then you go out your way to like make some type of commitment.
yes, you have to make it work, right? Because it may seem unconventional or like, oh, they're not friends because they have to actually schedule a phone call. No, they are friends because they took out the initiative to actually make sure that they are in constant communication with each other, right? Yeah, and so, you know, I think that's the thing, like really figuring out who your friends are, you know, what it is that they need from you, because every friend does not need to talk to you every day, you know. And so what is it that they need for you, and how can y'all make this work where it's comfortable for both of y'all, right? Because when I looked at my calendar, I'm like, what, you know what, Thursdays don't work for me. I go to Bible study on Wednesday. This day does not work for me. And so when we kept going through the days, we finally found a day that was okay for both of us, and you know, and it works. And it's like, okay, 15 minutes before, and I text her, hey, are you still able to talk at 9? If not, you know, let's move it to this day. Did this work for you? But we have to run our friendship like a business just because both of us have a hectic schedule right now.
Like you married people schedule sex, married people schedule date nights. Like, you know, so I don't feel like it's thought to that person. Like it's literally more so like I care about you in our relationship and making sure that it still stays in place and intact. So I'm going on my way to make sure that we can keep this up. So I like that. But then there's the other side, so we can switch it. Like saying goodbye to friendships that no longer serve you. And I think those feel like breakups. Like
yeah, and they hurt, right?
Yeah, I feel like it feels like heartbreaks and it's really breakups because you'd be like, dag, like, you know, this person did this with me. We went through this together. Like we had all of these moments and you just want to hold on to that friendship. And then sometimes when you come to that reality that you have to let it go, it just be like, for me, it hurts. Like my little feelings be hurt because I'd be like, God, like, okay, you continue to show me things, but then it goes back to the judgment thing. Like, I don't want them to think I'm judgmental because I'm not being their friend no more. I don't want them to feel like a certain type of way about me because we're outgrowing one another. Like, I'd just rather keep them and tag them along in hopes that like we can meet up again in the end and it'd be okay. But then God be like, no, it was a season. And so I think now I'm coming to understand like seasonal friendships. And even though seasons could be like years, years before it's like, okay, that's it. And I don't know. I think I'm still learning how to process that. Like, how do you process that?
I mean, I think that's one of the things that it's grief, right? Like
grief. That's a good way to
right. Like we commonly associate it with, you know, death. That we always feel like grief is death, but in many cases, it's the loss of anything. It doesn't. It's the absence of it. It doesn't mean that this person actually transitioned in life, you know, but that your life is no longer the same, right? Because you had to let something go or it had to change. And I think, you know, that was something that it really, you know, because I was the person, I had so many friends, you know, and loved all of them dearly. And some of them, you know, I talk to, some of them I don't. I look at pictures and it's memories in Facebook, it's memories on Instagram that I'm like, dang, like we were really tight. Like we were really close.
Right. And you see those pictures, you think about the memories. You're like, oh, dang, that was a good night. Like we had so much fun that day.
Yeah. And so, and you know, childhood friends, especially. And I think, you know, I still haven't really wrapped my head around. And I think it also depends on, you know, how you all stop talking, right? If it was like a big blow up or if it was something small or you kind of just like slowly but surely stop talking. And I think all of that makes a difference or when you can pick it back up, right? It's no time or it's no right or wrong when you can start back talking to them or when you know, oh, after a year or two, I can start back talking.
But like I said, there are some situations where there is no like.
Like it was a time in the season for that, right? And it was seasonal. And I think even though seasonal friendships, we have to be cautious of the way that we end them
I was gonna say, because how do you walk away from that without somebody feeling like, oh, it's out of jealousy or out of spite or out of things like that? Like, oh, she's funny.
But think about the times that you've stopped being friends with somebody and it was no blow up. You know, it was nothing. It was nothing to it. Like, you all just kind of stopped talking.
Yeah.
The Facebook stopped, like, you know, the likes stopped happening type of thing. And you're really left thinking like, you know, what did I say? Did I do anything wrong? You know, and I think when you grow out of a relationship, right, this is much differently because you don't do the same things that I do. So we grew apart, right? Even in those instances, I still hold on to those relationships, right? Because sometimes it's not always about what you can get, but sometimes what you can give. And so in those instances that I may be the only positive person in their life at this moment, that it is my job to uplift, you know, and give a little bit more in these friendships, you know, that some of these friendships you do give something and you may not always necessarily receive something in return, but that's where God placed you in their life at that moment.
Gut feeling though, because even if we went back to like signs of red flags in a relationship, like that would normally be a red flag in a relationship. But in some situations, like I think friendships, like you said, they vary case by case. In some situations, like you have to be the giver, like you have to give more because that person can't meet you, like where you're in that season.
Yeah, and so I think, you know, even when you have to walk away from those hard friendships because, you know, this is toxic, right? Or this is weighing on my mental health. Or every time they call me, it's always something. It's always something positive. Something negative. And I think
you're reminded, like in me situations, like some situations I had to end, you're reminded of a person that you don't want to be anymore. And so I had to say goodbye to some friendships that I had in college and things like that, that I was like, dang, like I didn't like who I was when I hung with this person. Like I didn't like that woman. That young lady wasn't who I wanted to be today. And if I feel like you still exemplify that and it has to constantly remind me of who I was then I can't be your friend anymore.
Because, right, when you say, and that's the thing too, when you say goodbye to certain relationships, you also have to say that goodbye to that part of you, right? Because sometimes we still keep that part of you and, you know, you're constantly replaying what it was. And you say like, oh, I separated myself from this person or I stopped being friends. Well,
that's what causes the spite and the resentment because it's like, oh, you still doing X, Y, and Z, but you're just doing it over there. So why couldn't we?
You want it in quiet. Yeah. And so that's why I'm like, it's hard though because I still have so many friends that I think about all the time, and I'm just like, you know what? Hey, how are you? You know, and I think that's how you kind of know like where y'all stand. Like, is that person kind of mad at you still?
Do you reach out with the expectations of y'all being like super tight, talking every day, or do you just reach out with the intentions of y'all being able to be cordial?
Cordial, of course. Like, I mean, and if it was to grow into something, you know, it would have to be very intentional on both ends. You know, not that I'm overextending myself, that I feel like, you know, I need to give all of this, or if I did something. But if I wronged you, or if I felt like it's something that's been heavy on me, you know, you have to be woman enough to apologize and let it go from there, because you're not responsible for how anybody else feels, but you're responsible for how you feel. And so in a lot of those things, you know, you have to do what's going to make you feel better. And sometimes it may not necessarily make the next person feel better, and they may not want to be friends with you. And that is okay. You know,
like sometimes you seek closure and then it's like there is no closure. Like the door just closed. That's the closure.
The door is closed, and you're the only person that can give yourself closure. It's nothing that anybody can say or do that will actually give you closure. And the longer you hang on to those things, the heavier you'll feel. And so that's why I'm saying sometimes you do have to have those conversations, or you do have to offer that apology if that's what's going to make you feel good in that moment about the situation.
I think it's about being at peace with who you are as a person. Because I think, like I said, if you do reach out to this person and you're like, you know, hey, you kind of ghosted me, like, what was the issue? Like, let me know what you were thinking, how you were feeling, so I can learn how to process it. Because I think those are growth moments, like moments where you can be like, put the mirror in my face and show me like what type of friend that I have been to you, because maybe I didn't see it that way.
Right.
grow from it. Or on the other hand, it's just like, oh, you just don't like me no more. Like, not, I mean, you just at a different part in your life. We get disconnected, no love lost, like he said.
Yeah, and I think too, when you embody or when you envision the woman that you want to be, like, you know, who it is that you want to wake up and be every single day, what kind of traits she has, what type of characteristic, what personality she has, you know, you don't want to have all of these skeletons in your closet, or, you know, feeling like you did all that, you know, that you did these things to other women or even males in these situations, that you did all of these other things and you weren't able to own up with them. And if you have not made peace with your past, it's always going to reoccur in your future, because you're going to keep on dwelling on those things, that I did this, I did that, and you think about it for so long that it actually becomes, you manifest that very same thing because you've thought about it so much.
Yeah, and it's funny, I think, how God works, because like when he wants you to deal with something that's going on inside of you, like he'll put it in your face over and over again, like time and time again.
Oh, yeah, until
like,
you learn.
Yes, and I think like with me and like even starting the social group, Hey New Friends, I feel like how can I have a whole social group about friendship and I can't, like, if I don't work on my own personal relationships inside of my friendships, which is why it was really important to have this conversation, because we get people who be like, oh, I don't need new friends, or, you know, friendships, I'm okay with my little circle. But it's just like, how can I lead a group like something so phenomenal such as that, as about friendship, if I don't do well in my own friendships? Because then I can have friends on the sideline that's like, oh, she's stunting, like she got this whole group about making new friends and she's not even a good friend. Like, you know, like how me think about stuff like that. Like,
yeah, I mean, very true, because even, you know, one of my friends told me, like, you know what, a lot of people don't like you and they probably will never like you is because you hold a mirror to people. You make people become responsible for whatever it is or who it is that they are, and you make people want to be a better person. And so when I think about, like, and I was like, wow, I'm like, you know what, that makes sense, right? Because it's like sometimes I just get the truth serum and I'm like, you know what, this is that type of thing, and I just say it. But I think, like, I said that to say, like, hey, new friends, you know, that has been, you know, an amazing blessing to the both of us, right? You know, of just meeting all of these different women, but also, you know, being in an empowering environment where we have these women and they're like, you know what, I am so happy that you all are not mean girls, that you all are actually welcoming, that you are actually, you know, curate this environment.
Patty, like,
yeah, and or I didn't know how I would fit in, or I'm completely shy. You all have made this group or this welcoming environment where everybody feels good about who it is that they are, right?
Who they're connecting with. Like, I love it. Like,
yeah, no, I love it completely as well. And so I'm just like, I feel so good every time we do it, right? Because it's never the same group of people. It's always a different group of people with different experiences, from different backgrounds, from different places. But it's also one of those things that's like, can we actually carry this? Can we actually uplift these women? Can we empower them and create these environments where they want to continue to come back?
Do it from an empty cup. Like, I think, like, I think conversations like this are pivotal and important, because we have to know who we are if we're going to be at the front lines for other women. Like, I can't pour from an empty cup, and neither can you. And so,
and how can we say, hey, new friends, or invite more friends into this friendship, and we don't have a good friendship?
I agree. We don't know how to maintain it. We don't know how to do any of that, because, like, that wouldn't be the reputation that I would want for the group. Well, I'm going to go ahead and close us out because we have already ran past our time. But, you know, we always talk, so it's like I can just talk to you for hours and it never feels like, it's time to get off the phone. But, you know, I do, again, I appreciate you giving your take on friendship, because, like I said, you are one of my bestest, I'm saying bestest, I know that, friends. And I just think you just have a lot to say. And I just want to, like, I'm just sharing you with the world. But Frenchie's my friend first. Bye. But I'm just sharing you with the world, and just like, I just want people to be okay and have healthy friendships, because I think friendships are essential. It's how we get through life. It's how we maintain our day by day. And like, even if we grow up, when we grow up and get married and start our own lives, like, you still center, like your core, your people, because your husband or your wife or whatever can't be everything for you. And so you
Mhm.
still need those people in your corner that you can go to, sit down, and like, I just want to vent. Like, I just want to have this conversation. Or, I just miss you. Let's hang out. And so I think that is very important to maintain those relationships. So thank
Yeah,
you.
I mean, friends are the family you get to choose. You can really literally choose anybody. There's so many different people in the world, and you can really curate a circle of support, that are there for you. Like, I have some people in my life that I know if I call them right now, they're going to pull up, and
Immediately.
those are, period. Like, those are the type of people, that you want in your life, that you want to be around you, that makes life more joyful and make you, give you a reason to want to celebrate when the quarantine is over, that,
Exactly. Pull up. We can pray for each other.
like, pull up. Yeah.
Together. We can make some money together. Like, I love well balanced friendships.
Yeah. That you're like, you know what? I got this one friend that I know if I need a prayer, I'm going to this one. I have a business savvy friend that I'm going to this one. I need a lawyer. I have this friend over here, my accountant, da 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 da. But really creating a team of support, that whatever it is that you're lacking or that you need, that they can actually uplift you and pick you up and support you in those moments that you're your weakest. Like, you want those people that are always going to hold you up regardless, that are going to protect your name when you are not around. And so, it's definitely people out there like that and are looking for more friends to, actually create their own circle of support.
Right.
So
And it
just
doesn't
be
even matter
open.
like how old you are. Like, if just be open. Like, it don't even matter where you are in life, how old you are. Like, there is no bad time to create new healthy friendships. If that's
At all.
like, if that's what you need in that moment, like, it's no bad time to do it.
Yeah. Yes. And shout out to my move to Washington, D.C., because I have created and have grown so much.
I'm not even
And
worried.
I got, yes!
Like,
Yes, I have some amazing new friends that I've met in Washington, D.C., and that, I know will be my friends for the rest of my life, regardless of where it is that I go, if I stay here, if I don't. But, I mean, I think that also comes with having an open mind and, really just not thinking people are out to get you. And in some instances, like, people don't have, they don't have good vibes. And when they don't, leave them right where they are and keep it moving, because everybody is
there. That energy. Because
like, keep it over there.
stop talking. All right, bye. Like, gotta stop talking.
And I know me, like, people are like, oh my God, I thought you were so quiet. But I know how I am. I need to go in the environment. I need to assess what it is that's going on in the environment. And then I'm going to pick and choose who it is I want to be around. Right. But off top, I need to see who you people are.
I feel it. Like, I feel like nothing's wrong with that. So again, I'm going to go ahead and end this. And I want to say I love you.
And I love you too.
And until next time, y'all, thanks for tuning in with us. Not that.